we can no longer say Pocahontas because she has no Indian.
What Donald Trump offers his most zealous supporters is a faux machismo, crude muscle, and a 50s-era misogyny. And when I say faux machismo, crude muscle, and misogyny, I'm not talking about the words in the tramp stamp tattooed on Sean Hannity's lower back. And yet, Donald Trump has staggering contempt for the democratic institutions that his base stand to salute and send their kids to die for in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. In Donald Trump's alternative reality, he's making America stronger because he's on America's side. And anyone who doesn't agree with his apocalyptic prophecies is an elitist who doesn't care about regular Americans.
We can't have them break our law just to get into our right. The rule of law is rule of law. Turn your butts back around and stop doing this.
With a Charlie Manson-like charisma, Donald Trump spoon feeds his base his patriotic Kool-Aid so that they will continue to self-sacrifice, to be his aggressive defenders, and continue to vote against their own self-interest, and to do it with a smile. Only all too often, it's with a fist as well. Oh my! Donald Trump's incoherent and contradictory diatribes incite a potent cocktail of hatred and rage among the brand of white men who prefer the Colonel's KFC to the politics of Washington's D.C. And by the way, as a side note, hatred and rage is what Sean Hannity has tattooed on his balls. Today, I would like to talk with you about some shocking examples of rage, police intervention, and extreme violence that I have personally witnessed over the last 3 years, reporting from events in California, Nevada, and Arizona that featured President Trump and or his supporters.
And it's your mom and dad too. And he's gonna win in 2020. You pack the murdering dog. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. Build the wall. Let's let everybody in. What is this? Oh shit! Don't hit him! Don't hit him! Stop hitting! Stop hitting him! We're not even doing anything. I agree. That's not what
I'm asking like having a representation. You're able to not interview.
fuck you!
Choke somebody!
I don't give a fuck what she does. This is my stuff. I'm standing here. It's my stuff. You get knocked the fuck out. You put your hands on me. You get knocked the fuck out. You put your hands on me. You get knocked the fuck out.
How did we get to a place where a Trump supporter does this to the face of a guy who supports a different politician? How did we get to a place where a public appearance by Donald Trump Jr. requires more than 100 riot police? How did we get to a place where an Iraqi combat veteran is targeted with death threats for opposing the president? Why are there at least 6 armed police guards at a lecture by far-right commentator Michelle Malkin? What made this Trump supporter think that it would be okay to spray bear mace at a group of people that he disagrees with politically.
This guy right here, he had the pepper spray. I got it all on video.
Why did this security guard think that it was okay to drag me out of the Nixon library for asking Sean Spicer about Russia? As the New York Times reported, on the day that cities hosted a Donald Trump rally, they experienced, on average, 2.3 more arrests for assault than on a typical day. During just the month of March, there were 61 arrests, 28 for assault at Trump rallies. According to ABC News, they could not find a single act of violence carried out in the name of Barack Obama or President Bush over the 16 years of their presidency. Today, the question that I'm going to try and answer is why? Why is there so much violence at Donald Trump events specifically? After all, large crowds of passionate people with the same interest gather all the time. But very rarely, if ever, has there been anyone at a cat convention who's been charged with a felony for spraying bear mace at a crowd, which is what happened on the Santa Monica Pier. Donald Trump's post-election rally in Phoenix ended with riot police shooting tear gas at pro and anti-Trump demonstrators who were on the precipice of riot adjacent. And look, Donald Trump doesn't even have to be at the event for his supporters to engage in behavior that is threatening, harassing, meant to intimidate, and yes, violent.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. You twist the facts. You twist the facts. Put your hands on me, you get knocked the fuck out. You put your hands on me, you get knocked the fuck out. You put your hands on me, you get knocked the fuck out.
Hey, fuck you. Hey, fuck up, bitch. Back up, motherfucker. Back up. I'm right here. I'm right here. I'm right here.
We can't have them break our law just to get into our right. The rule of law is rule of law. Turn your butts back around and stop doing this. I mean, there's some radical things I could say, but I'm not going to.
No, go ahead. Feel free.
Oh no, because I said if they came in and I look at these this caravan, I call it an invasion. It's basically an invasion. And I would love to see our president, under the war laws and all the others, look at it and declare that we're being invaded by foreign people, put the military down there, and fire off a few rounds, and a few rounds scared them, they turned around, but if they kept coming, well, I'm sorry. They must not know what the sound of a gun going off at them would be. They need to turn around and go home.
In the universe that Donald Trump has created, Mexicans are rapists, Muslims are terrorists, blacks are criminals, gays are deviants, Jews are disloyal, and journalists and liberals are the enemy of the people. Now, when you paint a group with a broad brush, it is so much easier to dehumanize any one member. When hate groups are chanting, "Jews will not replace us," like, they don't think that me or Jon Stewart or Jerry Seinfeld are literally going to come and take their jobs. No, they're talking about the faceless Jews who they think control the banks, the media, and the deep state. So look, that is one reason that there's an increase in the violence. People who oppose the president's policies aren't friends, parents, or neighbors. They're coastal elites, enemies of the state. They're fake news or libtards. And it's easier to attack a thing like that than it is an individual. Also, some people are just huge assholes who like to fight, and Trump makes it easy.
Stop lying. Shut the fuck up. Donald Trump! Donald Trump! Number one! Number one! Donald Trump! Number one!
If Mexicans are rapists, it is not a giant leap to people who support rapists deserve a beatdown. People see Donald Trump's aggressive public posturing, are influenced by it, and take it to its logical, violent conclusion. In just 3 short years, Donald Trump has single-handedly normalized the social taboos of Nazism, Aryan supremacy, racism, and violent confrontation, behavior, ideas, and language that have been criminal, shameful, verboten, and practiced exclusively in the shadows are now paraded up Broadway like a giant inflatable Mickey Mouse. Only instead of buttons on his shirt, he's got a swastika, and his fingers have been posed to make that sign for white power. So, according to experts in the science of human behavior, as individual acts of criminal behavior escalate from, say, shouting, say, this word or that word, to slashing tires on a car, to throwing punches, to crashing a car into Heather Heyer at the Unite the Right rally, each step up in the severity of violence becomes less and less offensive, less perceptible, and less criminal to the perpetrator. This escalation often happens when people feel that they're losing control of a situation, when they're feeling alienation, or irrelevant, or voiceless.
USA! USA! USA!
Donald Trump at those rallies gives those people an intense sense of belonging and tribal unity as they jointly attack a vicious external enemy.
I don't know if I'll do the fighting myself or if other people will.
You see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously.
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it.
And you know what? The audience swung back. And I thought it was very, very appropriate. The audience hit back.
I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been out there fighting, folks. I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been boom, boom, boom. I'll beat that.
And according to experts, once violent behavior begins to escalate, it will more likely continue to escalate and is not likely to stop without significant intervention. There's two more examples that I would like to share. As Donald Trump voters chant, USA, USA!
USA! USA! USA!
In unison at his rallies, and even at events that he's not personally a part of, that patriotic incantation chillingly conjures some dark and ugly, both conscious and unconscious rage that conflates the expression of American patriotism with violence, while simultaneously dividing the real, read white Americans from the rapists, the terrorists, and the criminals. Again, also let me stress, there are also just some people that are assholes who like to fight. And finally, like some airborne contagion, the president's bellicose and aberrant rally behavior, hypermasculinity, and braggadocio, which I think of as symptoms of a disease that I'm calling CHEETO herpes. They are passed from the host to his adoring flock. And by the way, when I say aberrant, hyper, and braggadocio, I am not talking about Sean Hannity. No, you thought I was going to say Sean Hannity, didn't you? Nope, that is incorrect. Those are the words that are tattooed above Sean Spicer's vagina. Now look, I know that some viewers are going to say, well, what about Antifa? What about Antifa? What about all the violence from Antifa? Look, Antifa is a very loose collection of independent anarchists and far-left liberals. As the New York Times explains, Antifa is a movement without leaders and is organized around autonomous cells. There's no hierarchy, there's no leadership, there's no one in charge with 1 million YouTube subscribers. Unlike the Proud Boys, the white supremacists, and other far-right groups, Antifa is, for the most part, idealistic 20-somethings with a Gap credit card who can afford bandanas and camo pants. And just because you put on a cape and tights, that doesn't mean that you're Superman. Have they done some bad shit? Of course. However, Antifa is to the alt-right what a spork is to a machine gun. Look, I think that there is only one way to stop this violence. Elect any Democrat as president in 2020. For me, the only qualification that I'm interested in is this. When they see a video of Nazis fighting liberals, do they think that there are good people on both sides? Look, for Be Less Stupid, I'm your host, Jon Hotchkiss. I would like to thank you all very much for watching. If you would like to support my work, go to our website at belessstupid.com and get yourself one of these nice Be Less Stupid t-shirts. It helps underwrite the cost of this production. Also, I would urge you to please, please share this with your friends. That is how we build subscribers, and that is what allows me to keep it free. So again, I say thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you next time on Be Less Stupid.